Grand Rising, good people. Grand Rising. Welcome to the show. If you're finding it for the first time, go ahead and skip the 5 minutes because that's when we actually get started. But this is a deconstruction page where we are going to talk about what began my first journey. Somebody brought this verse up, and it just reminded me of back in the day, what began my journey. But we're going to do a little bit more of a breakdown on this chapter. But of course, we're going to start about 5 minutes in. Just getting myself together here a little bit. Of course, I'm the owner of Smoking Phoenix Cigars, so I'm about to get my cigar ready. This is my cigar box, designed by Angelina to hold my cigars. Mustang Sally. Oh, welcome, Grand Rising Christian. How you doing? Grand Rising. Agan. All right, because I don't want to mess up your first name. What's that? Akanjin? I don't want to mess up your first name. Our cigar is healthy. Well, cigar smoke does turn into carotene in your body, but when you put it on a primary scale, no, it's not healthy in a sense like it's going to give you better health. But do cigar smokers get cancer? No, because we don't inhale cigars. Last time I had to do this part, I broke the glass. We don't want to go through all that, which is funny. How do I see glass pieces? That's the thing about glass. You'll still see pieces. But no. It's a lifestyle. You don't inhale it, so cigar smokers don't get cancer. But to say it's healthy, that's like, is ice cream healthy? I'm doing great, Michael. How you doing? Grand Rising Melanated Phenomenon, Jacksonville, Florida. I was just talking about Jacksonville, Florida the other day. Good, hanging off of a 6-story building, painting railings. Okay, Christian is hanging off of a 6-foot railing, hanging off of a 6-story building. He gets some railings. All right. We want you to stay safe now, Christian. We texting and stuff. We'll be sending messages. This one is really stuck in here this time. God dang it. Columbus, Ohio, lovely glory, Grand Rising. Madeira, Grand Rising. Debbie, always Grand Rising. Texas. Teresa. Yes, this will not come out. This is going to irritate me. This morning hasn't done well. My coffee is not grinded. The grinding part of my coffee maker is not working for some reason. I sent it through a cleaning cycle. It's still not acting right. Watch when Angelina get home and just act perfect. The cigar is stuck in the tube. It's just not my day so far. Something in the house is causing me to wake up with some or at night it's causing me to wake up with sinus problems. Today is not a good day. He said God did it. All kind of stuff. Grand Rising Black Land, David, Grand Rising, Teresa. I think I said Teresa. Everything is just going haywire this morning. And I should have been able to start today at 10:30. I'm gonna break this glass. I'm getting pissed. Give me a second. This is getting on my because it has Louis 13th in it. It gets sometimes it gets stuck. Cigars have some effect as those kind of have oral cancer, but you are correct. Does not count as cancer. It is like less than 1% of people who smoke cigars get oral cancers. But you are right. It's possible. Push the pressing handle. It may not be all the way back. I pushed it all the way in and all the way. I ain't got my coffee. I had to resort to getting a damn Coca-Cola in order to have my cigar. But now my cigar don't want to come out because my cigar is being bougie because it's saying that no, if you ain't got coffee, then we're not talking to you. See, because today feels like a Monday for some reason. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We're going to get into the subject matter today, though. We're going to get into this subject matter today. Oh, that's cool. Lovely Glory and David Smith, both in Ohio. One's from Columbus, one's from Willard. And Lovely says that they know some people in Willard. See, I like how y'all connect. People be connected. You sure? Don't be you sure me. Hold on, people. Yeah, I'm sure. Now, I had to go check that. I had to go check it. Because let me tell you why I had to go check it. Because if I wouldn't have went and checked it, and then a certain somebody, we ain't gonna name Angelina name, get home, and she just pushed the thing a little back and it just worked, then it's too many, it's jokes. Jokes aplenty. Yeah, Trauma just don't want to cooperate. Grand Rising Marguerite, Tina Grand Rising, first time here. Tina, your first time here, Midwest Indiana, and you're catching me on and I'm off. My cigar ain't working, my coffee wasn't working. Just all kind of problems. Waking up with sinus problems. The Queen, you be popping in and out, Grand Rising. Tracy, Grand Rising. The cigar is sick of you. Praise God on this thing. Do you have problems with my cigar, Tracy? Is that what we're saying? Because guess what? I got a whole bunch of them downstairs. Oh, man. Today's just not starting out the way I wanted to start out, but it's all right. We're gonna get into the subject matter. We're gonna get into the subject matter. Regardless, and I'm gonna keep working on getting this damn cigar out this thing the whole time. Ooh, wait a minute. I wonder if I take my poker. Trauma, you can appreciate this. See my cigar poker? Like when your cigar gets too short, you can use this to poke it and, so it don't burn your fingers. I'm trying to get it in a good spot in the camera. There you go. But I'm thinking maybe, nah, it ain't gonna work. Thought maybe I can fish it out. Black Man's got a question before we start. Who would I have to eulogize? Who would I have to eulogize me with this newfound knowledge I have? Whoever respects your wishes, whoever respects your thought process. Somebody who respects you. And when they eulogize you, all they got to do, eulogies, to me, okay, so when I eulogized my father, all I did was just talk about him as a person, how he affected people. I talked about, yeah, actually that's it. Him as a person, the people he affected, the what good things he did that made people laugh and smile. And I also talked about a little bit of his assholery. Um, I just told some stories about him that I knew of, told some stories that people had told me about him. Because, of course, a lot of it was things that happened. My dad did a lot of crazy shit before I was born and when I was small, like shooting at the KKK from top of buildings in Marietta Square, that kind of thing. So whoever is going to be honest about who you are, like I could have Angelina, I can have a bunch of people eulogize me. I can have Angelina eulogize me. Even my Christian family members, they wouldn't overstep the boundaries because of the mutual respect and love that we have. But there's other people who I know would respect my memory would do it. Plus, I have made it very clear that there would be no sermons, there ain't no Jesus, nothing. That is just a damn party and people just telling, war stories about me. That's it. Nothing else. There ain't no preacher. We do's none of that. We do's none of that. Yes, the assholery is well, very, very, very much genetic. Very much genetic. So yeah. You would do a memorial service, like I personally would do one, or would I go and do someone's memorial service? Which one? I'm not sure which one you're asking, Teresa. Because the answer is yes on either one. But I'm just questioning, just curious. My reception is not good, so I probably won't stay. Oh, Renee, where you live? I need you to move to the city. But I want to know I downloaded some sound therapy. The pain in my back and ankles are gone. Thank you. Good. Awesome. Great. I'll tell you that sound therapy there is some frequency. I'm telling you, all the world in frequency, getting those, the frequency, the match in your body to what's healing, like 432 528 is when the earth is healing. You got to get those frequencies. But I'm glad for you, Renee. Good way to go. That's what I'm talking about. That's pretty dope. That's how my mother wanted her last wishes to be. Where we had a big party, Grand Rising Honey Hogan, Grand Rising James. Oh, exactly. That's all I want. Yeah, I would. I would have. Well, I've already, I did my dad, and my dad believed like me, but it wasn't. He just was like he wasn't as he didn't study it or nothing, but he just was like the church thing is bullshit. Which is actually one of the things that allowed for he and I to get closer to each other when I was older, because I really didn't get to spend time with him until after I was an adult. So it was one of those connecting things that we was able to use to create a relationship. But yeah, and this one this one lady, she tries to get up there and say, "Oh, right before he died, I asked him to accept Jesus, and I could tell in his eyes, because this was at a time frame he couldn't speak. I could tell in his eyes that he accepted." Hold on, lady. This is the middle of service. Hold on. What you ain't gonna do is get up here and lie about my dad, because I know that's some bullshit. If that makes you feel better, you go do you, but you ain't gonna sit up here and lie about my father in front of all these people. And I was like, nah. But yeah, anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna have a little memorial, all right. In this incarnation of Renz, he was, this, that. I remember that time. I want to have a whole bunch of, I remember that time. Or did y'all know that me and this Joker, I want some of that. Can you tell me more so I can tell my sister? I'll tell you more about what exactly lovely glory is. Lovely glory. Take note. But yeah, we don't what was I about to say? Yes, a memorial service for me. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. We're just is telling some stories. Just like if me and a bunch of my Marines got together, we would tell a bunch of war stories, going through the Marine Corps. Grand Rising Marcus, Grand Rising RG. But we that's what we would do. That's what it's gonna be. There ain't gonna be no Jesus and my family wouldn't disrespect me to that degree anyway. That's one thing I can say I have going for me with my family is they wouldn't be disrespectful to me and have some type of Jesus memorial service. My kids wouldn't allow it. That's for damn sure. And neither would Angelina. So don't let the sweetness fool you. When it comes to defending people, you get a little rowdy. So I'm glad everybody is here today. If you're finding us for the first time, we deconstruct religion for the most part, but every now and then we do have discussions about other subject matters that could be political or dealing with history of different types of history or financial or relationship or things of that nature. But for the most part, we deconstruct from religion, and most people here are deconstructionists or in the process or have already deconstructed, and we just continue to grow as a community, something I did not have when I was growing up. Oh, you was asking Renee for more information about the pain. Okay. Did you catch that? Oh, I don't know if Renee is in or out. So we did a video, we did a live. I don't know which live that was on. I'm trying to think which live it was on. It might have been, we did a live where we talked about eat to heal and to cure disease. That was on October 18th on my YouTube channel and Facebook. So it might have been part of that live. Grand Rising Israel. So it might have been part of that one, but basically utilizing frequencies and binaural beats and solfeggios and sleeping to those to get your body in frequency. Israel Cook. Is Mayretta Israel Cook? Because I ain't seen you in a while, bro, if it is. But yeah, my kids know. So we're going to, let's get down to the subject matter here. While Christian is hanging off the side of a building, Grand Rising Lean. So on one of my other videos, somebody brought up Matthew 19 as a demonstration of this deity of Jesus. He was talking about Matthew 19, I believe 19:18, where, let me make sure I'm saying the right one of what the person quoted, and I'm gonna do a separate small video based on this part. But he brought up, Matthew 19, verse 17, where he was separating the difference between God and Jesus being the one entity. And when he brought this verse up, I had to go, and it reminded me of what began my journey. So it's been intriguing to go back and see and read the chapter that is one of the, it is one of, if it's not the most preached chapters out of the Bible, right? And there are so many subject matters on here that are preached, but this is the one that caused me to start walking away from Christianity. And I thought to myself, let's look at some of the things that this one talks about that should make you question this religion and cause you to also think about some of the teachings that that go on about this, that some of the trickery. Knowing my diehard believers, friends, and family, I just want to invite them all because they will. Or you just want to fight them. They won't respect your wishes. Yeah, you might have to hire you an enforcer there. So I want to look at this chapter. There's a lot of things about this chapter that there's a few things about this chapter that actually got me started questioning the Bible. And this is, and understand, when I first read this one, this is when I was 9 years old when I first read this one. And I started saying, I do want to read the entire chapter. And the entire chapter didn't cause me to have questions, but most of it, but there are parts that did. But I don't want to skip any part. All right. So it starts out in 19 when it says, when Jesus had finished saying these things, he had left Galilee and went to the region of Judea on the other side of Jordan. Large crowds followed him and he healed them, and he healed them there. Some Pharisees came to him to test him, and they asked, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any and every reason? And he said, haven't you read, he replied, that in the beginning the Creator made them male and female, and said, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother, and be united with his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. I'm sure many of you guys have heard that one if you've ever gotten married. You might have heard that one in counseling. You might have heard that one in the ceremonial portions being preached. This one I've heard damn near at every Christian wedding I've ever been to, where they would utilize this one. And you know, the thing that had me questioning this one, that had me thinking about this one, because it says, for this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united with his wife, right? And the two shall become one. It never said anything about the wife leaving her parents, like these two leaving and forging ahead in their own lifestyle. And when I was doing research on this one, I started seeing how it was actually the men would leave and go and be with the daughters. And now we talked about this recently in a video that I did called Patriarchy versus Matriarchy, where the wife, back before patriarchy really kicked in the 700 BCE in this religion, in 700 BCE, the husband would go and live with the wife and her family, because the wife would be part of the inheritance before they went full on matriarchy. Women used to be able to inherit property prior to Hezekiah in 722 BCE, around that time frame. So it makes sense that this was written in this way back in the Old Testament, back in Genesis, because that's what this is quoting. So that was one of those things that I was like, why aren't they explaining it that way? And that is one of the things that made me start looking at the patriarchy and how this book treats women, because it used to be more balanced towards women. It still wasn't perfect, but it was more balanced. No, I still haven't cracked this glass. I'm trying to make it come out without being too like, and y'all just like, oh my God, will you please give up? I can see it's getting less and less stuff though. I just got an ad that interrupted the, yeah, my lives are monetized. So sometimes that might happen. It is how we do. Unfortunately, that's how I have to keep this rolling. Otherwise, I have to go and build another brick and mortar company, and I don't want to do that. So I'm doing it based on the monetization of this program. I'm doing it based on the monetization of this program, of Facebook and YouTube. Because if I go build a business again, I won't be able to do as much of this. So this is what I want to do. So I hope you can put up with that aspect of it. And if you miss anything, just let me know. Grand Rising Andrea. So, yeah, that was one of those things that made me start questioning. One of the questions that I had, they started looking at it a little sideways, that these pastors may not know exactly what they're talking about in every instance, right? But then it says that no one separate, and I think that is another one of those things. Like I did the video yesterday, and the video about that with Will Smith, I have been told that video might be old, but the sentiment still remains. Sometimes you need to separate that shit because not all relationships are built on some deity. No relationship is built on some deity. God is not deciding who's going to marry who, and he's up there playing Cupid and all this bullshit and shooting arrows in your butt. No, man decides who they're going to marry based on physical attraction, based on mental attraction, based on emotional attraction, based on just being in the same vicinity as another person. We decide who we're going to marry. There's no deity that's deciding who's going to marry who. Yeah, that's something new that Facebook started. But no deity is going to, there's no deity deciding who you should marry. You are deciding who you should marry. There's no marriage that is ordained by God, by some deity. That's some bullshit. Because, and then I was like, all right, you got the divorce rate back then when I was first looking at this. The divorce rate was like 50, it was like 46%. And then later on, it got up to like 56% and that sort of thing. And so then I started doing research about Christian marriages. And I saw that Christian marriages were at the same level of divorce rate as non-Christian marriages. What hell, if you wanted to say that if any group that you want to say based on those statistics that their marriage is ordained by God, you'd have to say Muslims, because them jokers didn't get divorced, especially the ones from India. They ain't play that bullshit. But that was still because they had the social scarring of divorce. So it was a lot more difficult. They didn't do it as much because of that. Grand Rising, Charlene. So I started questioning the idea that there's some God that ordained marriage. And then, of course, I don't know where it's at. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know where it's at. I don't think it's in this part, where they try to trap the Jesus character in a situation where because for them, if a man marries a woman, the man dies and the woman didn't have a child, then the next brother who doesn't have a wife has to marry her. And then if they don't have a child, then the next brother has to marry her, and it keeps going. So this one woman went through 7 brothers. I'm kind of like, ain't trying to bang my brother's widow. It's kind of nasty. Don't want to go behind my brother. And Jesus tells the Pharisees that in heaven no one is given unto marriage, right? So then that would mean that God separates the marriage. He said, therefore, what God has joined together, let no man separate. But God is going to separate the marriage once you die and go to heaven. And, it's a romantic thing that people are like, oh, we're going to be together forever. On earth and in heaven, we're going to be together forever. And people like to think that, oh, my parents, they were so in love. And they're like, I'm going to be with him or her again in heaven. It's a nice thought, Grand Rising Brett. But according to this Bible, there is no marriage in heaven. So all these ideas of, oh, this couple and he died and then she died after, and they're going to be in heaven together as a married couple. And you see all these movies. Don't get me wrong. I love that movie with Robin Williams. Why every time I try to think of the title of the movie, I always forget the title of the movie. what come something come with what dreams may come, what dreams may come. I think it's something like that. Um, Beautiful movie. Best version of describing how this Christian heaven would look. What dreams may come. Thank you, Charlene. Love that movie. I'm telling you, I can watch that movie 50, 11 times. I love that movie. Right. Grand Rising Jacob. Shalom. So send me an email, Jacob, about that, with time and days and things like that, as far as doing a debate, and then what the subject matter would be as well. But David Price, wasn't forced marriage a way of controlling breeding? Yes, it is one. It is that. It is contractual as far as money as well. And it was used for a form of keeping bloodlines, contracted, joining families, and things of that nature. So it is and keeping outsiders from your tribe or your group, your nation, all that sort of thing as well. So forced marriage was that, but it was also for property. Like it was also like I got some daughters. They're useless unless I get some goats and some sheep and all this kind of stuff for my daughters, because they were just looked upon as either you can have a baby. That's all you're good for, is having a baby. Sorry. Okay. Only. Put all that in the email, Jacob, and I'll read it later as far as the debate and whose platform, because I have to be able to have it on mine as well. Oh man. Whew. Happy time. Yep, cattle to a certain degree. But yeah, it says that God is going to be, you're right, LaQueen. Now it talks about how God is going to be the bride. The church is, and I mean, the church is the groom, and the people are the bride, are the brides, and all the lamp stories and all that stuff. So, yeah, I'm on StreamYard right now. No, I'm not really trying the coffee. I just give up on the damn coffee. It takes too much time. Y'all just don't know. Me and Kevin will be shooting more videos. So, yeah, so this whole marriage story and y'all being together in heaven and all this kind of stuff, it's nice. But you know what that started me thinking about? How many other nice things are they telling me? Like a person dies today. Are they in heaven or are they not in heaven? Then you come to realize, according to this book, they're not in heaven right now. Some would say that they're in Abraham's bosom, which is kind of like a purgatory. But then if you call it purgatory, they're like, no, it's not purgatory. But it's kind of like purgatory. Right? They're not in heaven. They're not in hell. They're in like a resting place. Purgatory. Limbo. Whichever one, doesn't matter. But, soul sleep. Take your pick. But what they're not is in heaven with Jesus, with God, because the day of judgment hasn't come yet. So, I used to, now that part, my family was very supportive of my studies. My grandmother, so to be correct, Yeah, I got that cigar out, man. I always don't give up. I don't give up. I don't believe in giving up now. It got to be like truly, truly, I can't get to it for something me to give up on something. But my grandmother was supportive in almost all of my studies. But when I would say to people, and you know, I was a child, your mama ain't in heaven. Your mama body is resting in a soul sleep. She ain't going to heaven yet. Because it said the graves will give up they dead, the seas will give up they dead. Um, you know, and then it's the great judgment and all this kind of stuff. And people used to be like, oh, my grandmama was in heaven, my mama's in heaven, my mama watching over me. Like, your mama ain't watching no shit. So when I hear Christians talk about how their ancestors or angels are watching over them, I'm like, you ain't read your Bible. You sound more like African ancestry or Norse religion or some other Native American indigenous religion. You full of shit, because according to your book, they in the grave, or you'll have to go with Abraham's bosom in purgatory somewhere, but they still sleep even in Abraham's bosom, right? So what do you say, Marcus? You said back in the day, men believed all women were good for was producing babies and selling them off to other men for cattle for the bride price. But right here, taking care of the house and making babies. Right here. Ah, wait 1 minute. Life is better. Grand Rising Michelle in Birmingham. All right now. They got buckets out there in Birmingham and Leeds. And we're not gonna start talking about buckets like we did before. We're gonna stay out there. I told my sister that our parents are not in heaven, and I was told I was evil. Exactly. It's a nice thing to feel, but according to their book, it is just simply not a true statement. Right? And this is how this study does you. This would be so much better with coffee. I'm drinking this with a soda, but let me see. There still works. There is it starts you to on a journey to make you start asking more and more questions, uh, because if this God is separating you in heaven from marriage, then what else is going on in heaven that we believe and we are told that are just nice things to be said here on earth, right? That's that earth-like stuff. That's that earth stuff to say, oh, you know, and I don't do it anymore. So I let them be Debbie. I got this one friend. Oh my gosh! During in and around the anniversary of her mother's death, for that month or two, I can't talk to her. Love her to pieces to make her whole, but God, dog, she cannot become whole because she mourns. Her mother passed away like almost 20 years ago. She goes into depression every, I think, like March for a whole month. And but she will talk. My mother's watching over me. My mama said this. My mama said that. My mama came to me. My mom came to me, and I'll be like, "Oh my God, I just want to say your mama came to you. Done nothing. If you're Christian, she sleep. That's you. That's you that's talking. The voice that you're hearing is you. The dreams you have are your own creations and manifestations. My grandfather is not, I used to believe that my grandfather came and sat on the edge of my bed and told me some stuff, right? And then I had to stop believing that because I was Christian. And I was like, well, if my grandfather could not have come and he could not have done that, it's because he's soul sleeping. He's Abraham's bosom. It is not judgment. He's in the grave. And then when I became free of this religion, then I realized that my grandfather's consciousness could have came to me and told me that, because exactly what he said happened in my life. He said that my family structure, our big family, you know, all the cousins and aunts and uncles and all that, from his kids, that we would fracture. And then it would be up to me to bring everybody back together. And he was right. And that's exactly how everything happened. Now, you ask people in my family, they will swear up and down that it wasn't me. But if you look at the facts of things, who started the family vacations after we had all broken up? Who started the family Christmas party after we had all broken up? Yes, even though I was not Christian, I knew that Christmas would still be a thing that I could use to get them to come together. And now we are back unified, 25, 26 years of unification. So it's good that I freed myself from the fact that I don't have to accept that my grandfather's consciousness is somewhere asleep, stored away, open somebody's bosom. It's where it is. It's wherever it is. Now, don't ask me to explain it in its totality, because I can't. If it was just a dream, then I'm still asleep right now. And all my life has been just a dream. And it could be. We're in the same time when theocracy and religiosity has no place in our ethos. As Africans, we ought to know Western religions are copyrights of Asian African mythologies. Stop the indoctrination and embrace the science. They're not exact copies, but they do borrow a lot. But Christianity is a Asiatic African religion in the sense that it was written in the Levant, which we call the Middle East today. But I don't think this Christianity has absolutely nothing to do with, say, Ifa, which was what most of our ancestors, if you were in America, came from. Now, I did a video yesterday about what my thoughts about African spiritual religions. As far as the deities part, I look upon those as the same way as the Greeks or anybody else. I don't understand the weather patterns. I don't understand nature or the science of the earth. So I'm going to give it to a God. And as far as your ancestors, your consciousness, that's a whole nother matter. So like Charlene says that her grandmother comes to me and other ancestors. We don't fully understand consciousness and what happens with consciousness, where it goes, what it does. But I do accept the fact that your mind is so powerful, more powerful than you realize, especially the subconscious part of your mind that can manifest so many different things. I mean, just in the face of a dream, like my dreams are becoming weirder now because it's like I'm awake in all my dreams. I'm extremely conscious within my subconscious. Is the best way I can explain it. And this is a new thing. This is relatively new for me to go into this level of it. And I can't even fully explain it. Right? It's more than just being conscious within. It's more than a lucid dream. I can't fully grasp it in words. So what the power of the brain and thought and consciousness is so beyond what we currently know, that there's no telling like what levels of dimensional planes that you can exist on and you can go back and forth to. So men are the distribution of resources and women are considered property, patriarchal to the extreme. We're in the modern and see these actions as false. It was a different dark time, but yet it still happened in the form of human trafficking. Are you talking about how fathers treated the women and their daughters and all that? Then it pretty much was human trafficking. It just was acceptable and done in the eyes of, in front of everybody, and was part of their culture. Grand Rising DGB. But let's continue in this chapter because there's some other parts of this one that I wanted to get to that made me start questioning this thing. He said, why then, they asked, did Moses command that a man give his wife a certificate of divorce and send her away? Jesus replied, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard. But it was not this way in the beginning. I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife except for sexual immorality and marries another woman commits adultery. Isn't that interesting? I tell you, anyone who divorces his wife except for sexual immorality and marries another woman commits adultery. This is the thing about this one that made me start questioning things is the fact that this is more of a Greek idea of adultery. A Roman idea of adultery. And that we have carried to this modern day. When you look at adultery in the, and maybe, I don't know if Jacob is still on here, in the Hebrew world, back in the day, adultery was when a man has sex with a woman who's married. That's it. So that's adultery. She has to be married. A man having sex with a woman who is not married, there is no adultery. Well, actually, let me back all that up. Because actually, there are some Hebrews, and I hope Jacob isn't one of them, who says that a man cannot commit adultery. But, so let me say that first. There are some Hebrews who think that men cannot commit adultery at all, right? Yeah, totally. But in their time, the only thing that was adultery was a man having sex with a married woman. But as soon as a man has sex with a woman who is not married, she becomes his wife. She becomes wife number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, however many number it is. But this is obviously written based on the Romans because the Romans didn't believe in polygamy. It was okay for you to have sex with your slaves, but they did not accept polygamy. It wasn't part of their deal. So this is an attempt to also kind of on the sly get rid of polygamy by saying that if you divorce her for any reason other than that, then you are committing adultery. I hear you. Sorry, I left out the word. Oh, no, you good. So I started questioning that, like, why is there a change here? In the Bible, polygamy was fine. It was perfectly fine. There was no problems with it. The only way you committed adultery was if you took another man's wife. Grand Rising Brian W. So it made me realize that this is one of those verses that I started questioning, saying that, are they talking about two different gods? Are they starting to change based on culture? Because this looks more like a cultural change than something that is forever, because you were taught that God is forever. So I was like, where does this come from? But then he does say that you can divorce for sexual immorality, but yet doesn't describe, well, what is sexual immorality? Is it her going out and having sex with another person? Is it him going out and having sex with another person? Is it, are we talking bestiality here? What are we talking about? Are we talking about oral sex? Are we talking about anal sex? Are we talking about sex in the park? What is sexual immorality? It is so ambiguous, left open for anyone's interpretation, that even though he's like, well, Moses suffered your hardened hearts, you just gave people an out to be able to claim anything as sexual immorality. at any time frame of history to be able to get rid of a woman that a man don't like. That's basically what you're saying. That's basically what this Jesus just did. What they did in this part right here. And so I was like, okay, that's why can't this God be concise? Jesus is being just as vague as anybody else. Right? And if you look, I tell you, anyone who divorces his wife, what if the wife want to divorce the husband? Where is Jesus's Christ mind in here? Where's the Christ mind that equates men and women as one? Why is it only the husband can divorce his wife? What if she want to divorce his ass? Why wouldn't he make a grand statement here about women having the right to divorce a husband in the same way, unless Jesus is bound by culture to which he is? So these are the questions that I started having. This chapter was like rolling for me, because it was preached so much. And look at LaQueen. LaQueen be using them big words sometimes. He throwing me off. Like, love that ambiguousness of it all. Exactly, the ambiguousness of it all. But it is very, very. And I'm going to read this whole damn chapter, y'all. So sit tight. The disciple said to him, if this is a situation between a husband and his wife, it is better not to marry. And Jesus replied, not everyone can accept this word, but only those to whom it has been given. Y'all hold on to your ping on this one now. Hold on to your ping. All right. For there are, remember I said, Jesus replied, not everyone can accept this word, but only those to whom it has been given, because they just said in this situation between a husband and a wife, it is better not to marry. For there are eunuchs who were born that way, and there are eunuchs who have been made eunuchs by others. And there are those who choose to live like eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. The one who can accept this should accept it. I am not accepting being made a eunuch for the sake of this kingdom. This joker is saying, if you can accept it, it is okay for you to chop off your ping. Oh. Yep, the victor can do that. Assign whatever they want to it. The path of the dark side it is. Jealousy. You're right about that one. But think about that. Fellas, there are recordings of people cutting off their ping because they believe that they are doing it for the kingdom of God. Back in those time frames, in the 1st century, 2nd century, during the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, there are people who said this is for God. This is how they justified castrating if they wanted to castrate a house servant who was working around women, they would do this. Now, mind you, not just Christians did this one. Romans did it. Greeks did it. What's the group? The Woman King movie, the Dahomey, they did it. There are other African tribes that did it. There are Chinese tribes and nations that did it. Japanese, a lot of nations. When there was going to be a man that worked around the women, especially the king's women, didn't move who got castrated. So this is a common thought process, which makes Jesus common. Jesus is just going along with a common thought process that they have. They use fear to control the members, and it's called the village. Y'all know I like some movies. Although if you really read it and study it, you come to find out that this God has no moral grounds to stand on. And to even be able to make that distinction. Yes, it does not. So, and think about that. Jesus saying, oh, the ones who can't accept it should accept it. There are those who choose to live like units for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. How is that for the sake of the kingdom of heaven? To cut your ping off. Mm-mm. I remember reading that one multiple times, and I was like, "The hell!" Now I haven't seen many preachers who preach that one. You ain't gonna get much preaching on that, because you ain't about to tell a group of men, the few men that they can get to come to church, to accept that they're supposed to cut that the true believer for the kingdom will cut off his ping. Mm-mm. Not gonna happen. So of course, I also looked at that like, but if this guy gets mad at you for getting tattoos, for body piercings, to pierce your ear against get against a post and pierce your ear with an awl, you become a slave for life. How he gonna get mad? How he gonna get mad at you for tattooing your body, piercing your ears, but then tell you to cut your ping off? Cut your ping. I mean, no ping, you can't get no pum pum. Gotta have a ping for the pum pum. So I'm just saying. Make up your mind. Self-mutilation is either good or bad. And the comparison, a tattoo versus cutting your ping off, a ear piercing, a nose piercing versus cutting your ping off. Mm-mm. Serious mental health issues. Like, I know it was fiction, but there are other ways to do the same with psychology. It is. The craziest thing is that Christians will still try to justify this. At this point, this is committed. Yeah, committed style of language. It is. And they will try, and they will do their damnedest to justify this stuff. Have you seen the post? I mean, circulating that the Mormons telling everyday folks that it is a sin for you to masturbate for you and your self pleasure, although science tells us that sperm is seen as a waste in the body, so your body is going to expel it, whether voluntarily or involuntarily, in the form of a wet dream. Is also counted. I have seen some videos of them of Mormons saying that masturbating is a sin, and your body will either expel it or absorb it, but it ain't a sin. You gotta get on. If you can't get none, you better get some to yourself. You don't have a willing participant. You can participate. Love yourself. Love yourself. But lately, I've seen a whole bunch of Mormon videos about Mormons leaving the Mormon church. So I did a video on that yesterday. Make sure y'all go and look at all the videos I did yesterday and share them. I did like 9. All right. So let's continue with this chapter. Say if it's a sin, you're on your way to hell. We all gonna be right there with you, bro. We all gonna be that DGB. All right. So then he switched gears. Then people brought little children to Jesus for him to place in his hands. On them, then people brought little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them and pray for them. But the disciples rebuked them. Right? Jesus said, Let the little children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. When he had placed his hands on them, they went on from there. Now, if you saw the video with me and Kevin when the little girl was saying that Jesus dying and rising again didn't make sense, this is one of the parts that we quoted, because little children be knowing some stuff. He said, let the children come. In Gospel of Thomas, he said, if you cannot come to me like these little children, open, willing, ready to accept, love without conditions, then, you know, who are you? But these little kids, they're willing to, they see beyond the conditioning because they haven't been conditioned yet. Right? But this one, I just looked at some of the how they use children in the church. They train up a child. The child mimics a pastor, and if you can mimic real well, then they prop you up, and because from the mouth of babes. But these children been trained. All they're doing is regurgitating what they heard you say. All they do is regurgitate. They just regurgitate. They're just acting. Like the video I did with the little boy who was preaching. I mean, he was praying. And he was, oh, Jesus, my soul. And he just praying the way he seen his grandmother pray. Right? So, and she was like, I was just asking you to pray over your food. And he was like, well, he was disappointed because he was thinking that he was going to get some accolades for praying like grandma. The little boy didn't know what he was saying. He didn't know what he was doing. So these kids don't know. You'll be following these children in that way, in that regard. Now, the ones who just sitting up there mimicking what they've seen adults do. Now, when you have children who critically think, like that little girl who said that she was asking where Jesus' grave is, she's like, that don't make no sense. The other little girl that I did me and Kevin did the video on, where we was saying, the little girl was saying, how did Jesus come down to learn more about himself? If Jesus is God, how you gonna learn more about himself if he already supposed to be God? That didn't make no sense to her. Right? Come to me like little children. Little children are inquisitive. If you've had a child, you know that the worst word you can teach your child is why. That's the worst word you can teach your child. If you've had a child, if you ain't had a child, you don't understand what we're talking about. You don't understand in a minute, but you don't understand. Because them little jokers, why daddy? Why daddy? Why daddy? Well, because X, Y, Z. Why? Because, you know, A, B, and C. But why? E, F, G. Why? H, I, J, K. Why? Elemental P. Goddamn, them children will seek to understand. They consistently seek to understand until you train them and condition them and beat them into submission of them just accepting whatever it is that you give them. Right? So when they teach and come to me, you know, the little children come to me like little children. Little children are inquisitive. They question shit. They question shit. Yes, they are willing to investigate. They are willing to accept that things are beyond what we have perceived them to be. You know, if you tell a child that, if you raise a kid, telling that kid that they have the ability within them to swim across the Atlantic Ocean, if they will believe it, and if they believe it strong enough, they will figure out a way to do it. And I say that because I know that's been attempted. I don't know if the people actually achieved it. Of course, they have trailing, they have boats with them. They're not doing it in one shot. But, you know, what a person believes is possible, it becomes possible. They figure out a way to do it. It is only when we started being told what we can't do, what we can't do, what we can't do. If you told a child that they can levitate this damn thing right here, I think that at some point they'll figure that shit out. But we get filled with so much doubt about things, what we can do, what we can't do, what we're capable of, that we have these mental blocks that prevents us from doing things that people would call supernatural. Whereas levitating that any item, it's not supernatural. We just don't understand how to do it. Once we understand how to do it, it's natural. Mm-hmm. And that's just how the curious and inquisitive I was as a child. Yeah, I was the same way, asking questions all the time. And other adults try to shut me down. My parents and my grandparents never did. Yeah, it probably would tear their world apart if they actually go, Carlene, you still on the ping ping, Carlene? Carlene. Right, the kids don't see the world through jaded eyes. There's a bunch of videos out there where they got these little kids pointing up, talking about, I see Jesus, or I see angels, I see Jesus, I see angels. There's a certain part of me that is like, you've been conditioned because you're specifically saying Jesus, right? But there's this one video that does have me intrigued. This little girl couldn't be no more than about 3 years old. And tell me what you guys think. She's about 2-3 years old. She's taken to the gravesite of her mother. Her mother had passed away. They don't say how she passed. But the little girl starts saying bye. She steps up on the grave, starts saying bye, and then she goes up and does and gives a kiss, and then says bye and walks to her aunt. See them little kids point out, I see Jesus. I'm like, that little girl, I don't know about that one. I'm not so sure about that one. I do think kids haven't been jaded and their minds are still open to seeing in other dimensions that we can't see yet. Because when I tell you my daughter Sydney played with her imaginary friend Sika, and the movements were perfect as if she was playing with someone else. So I'm with Sydney, I'm between her imagination and actually playing with some entity. But with that little girl in that video, that just seems like she was kissing her mom, that she was speaking to her mother. That one got me a little bit of, I don't know. That Richard Dawkins doesn't mean the supernatural. He reiterates it as superhuman and says that there are probably aliens that are higher intellectual than us, and he phrases the term superhuman. And it could just be that. I do think that previous civilizations on Earth, not any in our recorded history, which is about 8,000 years right now, but as they are working with Göbekli Tepe, we're going to expand that to about 12,000 years. But prior to the Younger Dryas, is it possible that a civilization developed to where they were using mental telepathy and telekinesis? It's possible. I don't know, but I hope one day we dig down deep enough and find some stuff. So let's continue. And this is all right. This part here. Wait a minute. Let me see what you said right there. Believe in. I believe in the book of Numbers. There's a criteria for who becomes a priest. I believe the age is 30 to 50. Kids don't know their damn selves. How are they going to preach? Exactly. A child being able to see some stuff, one thing. A child being able to preach this Bible, hell no. I don't even have that understanding of it. Right, it changes form. Energy just changes forms. So I definitely want to get into this next part because, whoo, boy, this thing right here got me started. This part right, count. Children are open to a wide range of vibrations. But let's get to this part because it got me started. Let me preface this, y'all, with a couple of things. First of all, when I was a kid, I wanted to go to heaven. That was my big goal at first. I wanted to go to heaven until my grandmother told me heaven was like being in church all day. Then I wanted to go to hell and get a good job. But then the other thing is I grew up poor. And I'm talking about poor. Like my mother we had lights and we had water. We had a roof. But we went long periods of time with no furniture other than beds. And we went long periods of time with no food or barely had food. And we'd have to go to my grandmother's house to eat. So, and this was my mother working 2.5 jobs. So I grew up some poor, real poor. Went and lived in Techwood homes for a while, sleeping on the floor. And we didn't sleep on the floor for the sake of not having beds. We slept on the floor because of where we lived. But my mother would always wake us up, drive us up to our grandparents' house to cook. She was not going to let us go to school in that inner city school. But so some of the parts of these next verses here, oh, they bother me. They bother my soul. So then a man came up to Jesus and asked, and I keep forgetting that this is where I mean to direct people when I talk about the fact that you got to keep them goddamn commandments. I keep on thinking it's where he asked, what's the greatest commandment? He said, to love the Father and love your neighbor as you love yourself. But this is the part that I keep forgetting where it's at. I keep combining another part. No, bro, I wasn't poor. You're exactly right, DGB. I was poor. Poor. I was poor. Okay, so then a man came to Jesus asking, Teacher, what good thing must I do to get eternal life? Right? And he said, and this is the part that the guy sent me, I think. Why do you ask me about what is good? Jesus replied. There is only one who is good. If you want to enter life, keep the commandments. So what and let me give him credit. You know, I want to give him credit. This whole video was started because we got to give my man credit here. On YouTube, my guy TealX8462 TealX8462 got that picture Skeletor for his little face thing. He's the one who sent and got me started on this one. This is not the part that he said this part too, but he also sent me another part when we get down to 28. So TealX842, he gets credit for this part, and when we get down to 28 is gonna be some other bullshit. All right. All right. So Grand Rising Pedro from the Bahamas. I'm about tired of all you island people enjoying all that good sunshine. Keep on coming on my channels. Every time this book brings up marriage, talking about sex and intercourse. Yes, it is. That's how you get married in the Bible. It actually, still today in Georgia, you can't get a divorce if you still have sex within 30 days. Having sex within every 30 days is a state of marriage in Georgia. So, I just want to stay up. See, it's God. Grand Rising Mike. I really don't even need that thing. Why do you ask me about what is good? Jesus replied, there is only one who is good. This is completely Jesus separating himself from this God. Now, of course, a Christian would jump over to John, where Jesus is saying that me and the Father are one. If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. But then later in that same chapter of John, he says that he and the disciples are one. So are the disciples part of this Godhead as well? Of course not, because that's not what he meant in John. And John is talking about if you act right, if you walk right, act right, then you are seeing God in the action, not that they are one. When me and Angelina present a united front, we are one, but of course we are two separate people. If any of you guys have kids with a woman that y'all are not married, y'all should always present yourself as one united front to the kids. If you are married and you got kids, present yourself as one united front in front of the kids. Y'all can have y'all disagreements in the background, but in front of them little jokers, y'all are one. All right. But that doesn't mean y'all are in the exact same. So this is, when I read this part, I was like, oh, wait, man, Jesus and God are separate. Very different. Thank you, LaQueen. Yes, everybody share, goddammit. Share all the videos, share all the content. All right. But this is the oneness. Jesus is saying, just like the Muslims say, Allah is one. And there are other parts in the Old Testament, New Testament, where it says, oh, hear, O Israel, the Lord God is one. Not three, one. And so that whole Trinity is, so that makes me think, okay, how can it prove if someone has sex within 30 days? You can't. If they take it by word of mouth. Word of mouth. But then it's this part that's next. If you want eternal life, keep the commandments. So anytime you're talking to some of these Christians who say that you don't have to keep the law, Jesus got rid of the law. Of course, we always say, Jesus said, I came to fulfill, not to abolish the prophets, not to destroy the prophets or abolish the law, but to fulfill it. And take not one tittle from this book. But right here, he tells this man, if you want eternal life, keep the commandments. Keep the daggone commandments. So when your woman is on her period, you can't sit on or touch anything that she touches because she's unclean. Get them circumcisions within 8 days. All right, sacrifice some lambs. Jesus was sacrificed for one thing. Those other things are for your daily sins. This is for the sins that you don't do the sacrifice for at the end. Having these feast days. You're supposed to have all the feast days that they have in there. No, to stop eating that bread with yeast in it. I think this shirt is 100% cotton. I don't know what the hell the shirt is made out of. I'm sure these jeans are made out of multiple different types of thread. Keep the law, and you'll have eternal life. Now, I think the guy was a smart ass because his next comment was, which ones? He inquired. And Jesus humored him. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false witness. Honor your mother and your father, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. So he gave those. Now, a Christian can say, well, those are the ones that Jesus specified. Now, initially, he just said, keep the commandments. If the guy hadn't asked the question, it would just keep the commandments. But then Jesus is more specific, right? Because he's getting ready to show this guy that he's not really keeping all of them. Right? Yeah. Yes, genital mutilation of the babies is abuse. I ain't gonna lie. I understand it in that regard, but I had it done to me, and I had it done to my son. The reaction that most American women have towards it, nah. I know it actually doesn't serve. You can be just as clean and hygienic without it, but yeah. I understand the point, though, David. Won't even argue it. So the man then says, I have kept all these, I have kept, the young man said. What do I still lack? So it's not that Jesus was going to go at the dude. He asked the question, what do I still lack? And this is insightful. And Jesus answered, if you want to be perfect, go sell your possessions and give to the poor, and you will have treasures in heaven. Then come follow me. When the young man heard this, he went away sad because he had great wealth. Then Jesus said to his disciples, truly I tell you, it is hard for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of heaven. Again, I tell you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God. When the disciples heard this, they were greatly astonished and asked, who then can be saved? Jesus looked at them and said, with man it is impossible, but with God all things are possible. You know, you've heard that part many times. Then Peter answered, we have left everything to follow you. What then will there be for us? Now I'm going to pause right here for a second. We can go and look at some of these things before I get to that last part of 28, 29, and 30. All right, so the man asked, what do I still lack? He told him to go sell all his possessions. Understandably, he was pointing out to the young man that you are still in love with your wealth. And I don't know about y'all, but the way that this was taught, Reverend Young, I will never forget. I was 9 years old and I hated being poor. And he said, he held up a sewing needle. And he said it is impossible for a camel to go through this needle, the eye of a needle. So therefore, if you are rich, you will go to hell. So stop trying to be rich. I approached that man for 6 months. If I liquefy the camel, then it'll be tough, but I can get the camel through the eye of the needle if he's liquefied. Because liquids can flow through the eye of the needle. Yes, I'm 9, 10 years old. I'm telling this man about liquefying a camel. And I was like, well, I got this big sewing needle that had a bigger opening, you know, one of them bigger. And then if I liquefy him, I can get him through him. Because my Aunt May was a seamstress. So I was like, I can work it. I can, you know, grind him up real good and fine, like real good fine coffee, and slide him right on through there. It's going to take a while, but I can get him through. I can get him. Y'all, that thing bothered me until I was 20 years old. That line, that teaching. And I kept like trying to figure it out. Now, I didn't have the internet. You never understood that, Dee Dee? That's good old pound of flesh. There are nerve endings in the male foreend that some people. Yeah. Yeah, I heard it's more pleasurable if you are uncircumcised. So this guy must be rich. Can I borrow some money? They terrify people from becoming rich. Wow. Yeah, in the black community, you can see how if you tell the black people that rich people are going to hell, that's going to be aimed more towards white people, Caucasians at the time frame. We're talking about the late 70s here. So it makes the people who are of lower income feel better about themselves, right? Feel better about their plight, that God has a bigger blessing for them, right? This is something that you teach oppressed people, and it keeps them oppressed. But I was not having this bullshit. This is probably one of the reasons why I'm a horrible employee and have always sought to work for myself. So it was the big change happened for me. 20 years old. Was I 20 yet? I turned 20 while I was yeah, because we hadn't got to Israel. I had a birthday while we was during Desert Storm. So after Desert Storm, I'm 20. It's February. We go to Israel. I'm going to break this down for you. Who said that they struggled with that one? That was Didi. Going on this tour of Jerusalem. On this tour to go to Jerusalem. We're in Jerusalem. And we go through the Muslim market, and we're on our way to the Wailing Wall. And we had this Czechoslovakian tour guide. And my guy says, for all the Christians, we are about to go through the eye of a needle. Big ass. It's about 8 feet tall. About 8 feet tall. It's about 6 feet wide. And I'm looking at it. And I see how it's shaped like the eye of a needle. Okay. And then y'all are still talking about circumcision. So I walk through it, and I walk back and forth, back and forth. The reason why I'm walking back and forth is because, and then like a week or so prior to that, we were in Oman, and we were sleeping on the beaches of Oman. We had did some military operations there, and this goddamn camel, while I'm asleep, this camel, middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, this damn camel just walked straight through our encampment. Now, legally, because of the rules, we couldn't shoot the camel, so nothing like that, of course, because these belong to those people in Oman. The goddamn camel stepped on my tent in the middle of the night. I'm sleeping, all of a sudden, my shelter my tent just collapsed. I wake up, pull myself out of the tent, and this damn camel just walking his happy ass on through. Stepped on a few other people's shelter have too. Stepped on a couple of people. And I'm looking at this big ass camel. 2, 3 in the morning, I'm mad. Because now I'm going to sleep on top of one of the pallets. Because I'm not putting this tent back up. So I had just saw a camel up close, is my point. Right? So I'm walking back and forth. I just saw a camel. That camel can easily walk through this goddamn on doorway. So I'm like, this is some bullshit. I've been trying to maintain, I was like, okay, if I stay in the military, I'm never going to become rich, but I'll be decent. I have some money. I'll be able to take care. I ain't going to be poor. I won't be poor no more. Right? And so I'm walking back and forth. My tour group now left me. They left me. They were gone. I don't know where the bastards went. Didn't know my way around. Here I am by myself, right outside the Muslim market, standing in this doorway. And then that's when this gentleman, I've mentioned him before, he approached me and he looked, he said, you just now figured out what the eye of a needle is, huh? And I was like, yes. And I said, and I told him, I said, this is some messed up. I said, this is messed up. I didn't know the man. And then he broke it down to me. He said, what that meant back then was a camel was like, and he said this was like an SUV, right? This is when SUVs were just starting to come out back in the day. We just got past station wagons, 1990. He said it's like an SUV. You carry everything in it. He said a camel's carried everything. And they're all the bags, and then you ride on it. Now, if a person was riding on the camel and they had all their possessions on the camel, when they get to this doorway, in order for them to go through here, they would have to unload all their material things from the camel, and they have to get off the camel. It served two purposes. Purpose number one was it allowed for that city to tax the person on everything they brought in and inspect to make sure they see what weapons they had. But it also made it where when marauders came, 2 camels can't pass through here. They come one at a time, so they were easier to pick off if they were being attacked. So what the Jesus character, and that's the first time I heard somebody call him the Jesus character. He said what the Jesus character was meaning is that for a rich person to enter into heaven, they would have to get off their high horse, their camel, and unload all their riches, not trying to hold on to those possessions, right? And I was astounded because I was like, And I remember telling him, so I can have wealth, I can have material things, I just can't be in love with those material things and in love with wealth. And he was like, exactly. If you can acquire wealth, and if you lose it, your world doesn't fall apart. You're not angry. You just continue on being a loving person, a good man, and all this stuff. You're fine. It's just don't fall in love with your material possessions, which I never have been. Like, if you want to know what I'm in love with, it's experiences. I love experiences more than anything. When it comes to things outside of like myself and people, it's experiences. That's what I love. Right? That's my thing. As I told y'all, that's one of the reasons why I had to shut down that cigar lounge, because I wasn't having any experiences. My only experience was going to work for the last 12, 14 years. It's just been work, 7 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day. It's not the experience I want to have in my life. So wealth be damned. Owning a business like brick and mortar be damned. So anyway, and his name was David Assid. And he was one of the curators at the Tel Aviv Museum. And to show my age, I've already said it was 1990. To show my age, he and I began a pen pal process at that time frame, where we had a notebook, and I would write in the notebook, send him some stuff that I learned on my travels and learning my studies. And he would send me response. I would send him the book. He would send me responses. I send him the book, and we send the book back and forth. Of course, in my last military move where they stole all my stuff, I lost that book. But I know you ain't heard of pen pal, man. You're 48 today. Let's everybody tell David Pryor happy solar return, happy born day, happy birthday, happy Earth Day, whatever term you use. But happy born day there, David. But I'm gonna tell you, that was the best experience, because that's when things really start turning for me. Because it would be a few weeks later when I found myself in Rome and I got to see Constantine's art, and I was like, hold the hell up, this story must be a lie. And then that's when I started writing to the Vatican to have access to the writings of why is his name? Just somebody of Caesarea. No. Oh, man, you see what happens when I don't have my coffee? But Constantine the scribe, whatever of Caesarea, whatever his name was, it'll come. It'll come when I'm not trying to think of it. He told your age today. He 1 year younger than me. Not Josephus. Why is his name? This is bothering me. Constantine the scribe of Caesarea. Of Caesarea. Damn, I was hoping that would right. That would help. Who recorded Constantine's dream? I had a pen friend from Mexico back in the day, in the 70s. I was about 8. When I was in high school, I did pen pal with this girl from Colombia. She was an exchange student that came to my high school, and then we kept in contact. It wasn't that she was all cute and everything. I just wanted to, it's just that she was from Colombia. And that was interesting to me. We pen pal for a while. I don't know why I can't think of this man's name. This is the problem when you research something and you go through something 20 plus years ago. The names and everything fall out of your head. But anyway, I'll continue. Let's continue. But David taught me a lot over those years. Taught me that Constantine's dream was falsified. Well, he had a dream. He told that he had a dream, but he changed the dream. What was recorded in 313 in Milan, 318 in Milan. I think Milan was 318. And what actually was recorded at the battle at the Moldavian Bridge against Maxentius were two different dreams. And the Constantine's Ark did not have any crosses on the shield. There were no images of Jesus on there, or him seeing Jesus. Constantine's cross was not on his. If he was told that in this image, by this symbol you will conquer, that symbol was not on his ark. But he had symbols of Mithra and symbols of Apollo on there. He made himself to be Sol Invictus, the unconquerable sun, S-U-N. Eusebius of Caesarea. God, be more careful. So Eusebius, when he first recorded it, there was no seeing of Jesus in his tent. There was no cross in the sky. The soldiers didn't paint crosses on their shields. It wasn't until he had his meeting with Christian bishops that he then had those things. He told that version of the story, and then Eusebius recorded that version of the story as well. So 7 years later, upon seeing that, I was like, oh, okay, this is some bullshit. Right? These jokers just make stuff up. And who's going to question the emperor? No one. And of course, these emperors and these people think that their truth is going to last forever. Their kingdom is going to last forever. So when when David Seed explained this to me, I was like, I get it. I see it. I just can't be in love with my material possessions, which has never been a problem with me. There's always a cross in the night sky. It's called the Crooks constellation. Yeah, there's always one. You can actually draw a whole bunch of crosses in the sky. I can draw a whole bunch of shit in the sky. Really, I can draw every letter of the alphabet in the sky if I really want to. Put me in the right spot where I can see all the stars. You can draw anything you want to draw. Yes, we live in a world of bullshit. You're exactly right, David. It's full of it. Rome is the undeniable elephant in the room. Mm-hmm. So that part right there, that whole camel through the eye of a needle, I was like, oh, this is some bullshit. And then this was the last bullshit of this chapter, and then we can discuss anything else you guys want to talk about. 28, Jesus said to them, truly I tell you, at the renewal of all things, this is when they're asking, so we've left everything to follow you. So the disciples are like, well, shit, unlike that rich dude who went away sad, we left everything. We following you. We keep the commandments, I'm assuming. He said, then what will there be for us? And Jesus said to them, I tell you, at the renewal of all things, when the Son of Man sits on his glorious throne, you who have followed me will be able to sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And everyone who has left house or brother or sister or father or mother or wife or children or fields for my sake will receive 100 times as much and will inherit eternal life. But many who are first will be last, and many who are last will be first. Now, before I get to the real meat, I'm going to go this one in reverse. That bullshit about many who will be first will be last, and many who will be last will be first is one of those weapons of the oppressor. It was weaponized for the oppressor. It is one of those things that also not only something that is weaponized for the oppressor, but it is also, if you are building a ministry, if you are trying to get people to follow you, building a new religion, a new cult, whatever it is you're trying to build, those who are deemed as last in society are the easiest ones to get to follow you, because you are telling them that those people who are ahead of you financially, those people who are ahead of you societal wise, relationship wise, whatever, those who are ahead of you in heaven will be behind you. You will gain more. You're better than them. This is basically saying you're better than them, because you're going to get more. Look what they're going to get. Oh, you will inherit 100 times. Don't worry about your mom and your daddy. Don't worry about your wife. Don't worry about your job. This is how you get Jim Jones getting people down there in Guyana drinking some poison Kool-Aid. This is how the Branch Davidians get those people inside that building. And this man telling them that leave your wife and your mother. All of y'all, I'm Christ. I'm Jesus. So all your wives are my wives now. They're not your wives anymore. And then he goes around having sex with all of them. Right? I don't know if people know that was part of David Koresh's spiel. Hell yeah, Turn the Other Cheek is another one. But this is that mindset. This is how you can convince people to follow whatever your bullshit is. Because you are preying on people who just have hope. You're using hope for a better life. What did Celie tell Sophia? Never mind what happened here. We all something in the hereafter, y'all. I don't know the exact words. when Steely told Harpo to beat him, and then she called him, you told Harpo to beat me. All my life I had to fight. I had to fight my brothers. I had to fight my dad. Oh, it ain't safe for a woman in a house full of men. I don't know exactly how I go. I kill him dead before I allow Harpo to beat me. Life is just temporary or something, she said. Life is just temporary. We wait for heaven and hereafter or some bullshit, she said. Oh, you ought to bash Mrs. Head in and pray for heaven later. However that sequence go. I know that some of y'all are probably saying that in your mind and know exactly word for word. I don't. It is a great movie. But this is the bullshit that they get that from. This is one of the bullshits they get that from. Say one of. You know, later. You know, you don't have shit, you lose shit. But who is this Jesus to tell them, think about it, I want y'all to leave. This is a one of the things that a person who is controlling does. Everyone who has left houses, brothers or sisters, fathers, mothers, or wife or children or fields. When you want to control someone, when you want to make that person have pretty much Stockholm syndrome around you and you control them, you separate them from every other outside influence, separate them from their job, separate them from their family. When you do that, you now are the singular voice that this person is listening to, and now you can control this person. Every situation of spousal abuse has some element of this in it. Every cult, thank you, Debbie, as well. I was just about to say that. Every cult has this aspect to it. This side be over soon, heaven lasts forever. That's the line. Okay. But they all have it, right? The church folks do suffer from Stockholm syndrome, right? But what my guy, Teal X8462, I'm proud of myself that I remembered it like that, is the other part. And I would imagine most people have never thought about this. But he said, when the Son of Man is sitting on his throne, you who have followed me will also sit on 12 thrones, 12, count 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, you just judging the 12 tribes of Israel. What about all the Gentiles? What about all the Gentiles? See, he ain't thought about the Gentiles yet. But that ain't the part that y'all should catch on to. Right? Now, I'm going to pause here for a second because I know Teal X is not on here. So he already knows the answer. Because when he said this, I was like, you know, it reminded me that most people never think about this. But I thought about this probably around 18, 19 years old. So I'm going to give y'all a few minutes to think about it. That those who have, when Jesus is sitting on his throne, you who have followed me will sit on 12. He's saying you. He's talking to the disciples. Excuse me. You who have followed me will also sit on 12 thrones and judge the 12 tribes of Israel. Think about that now. I want you to think about it. Marinate that in your mind for a second. You was pontificating on this a couple days ago. The kingdom of heaven is like 5 virgins in a room with the Son of Man, and the door was shut. And what were your thoughts on that? All right. Boondock says 12 zodiac signs. Interesting, but not what I thought about. But think about this. Be literal with it, Boondocks. Be literal with verse 28. Be literal. And whom is alive today that can say they actually know that this is factual, undeniable, irrefutable evidence? No one. Yeah, exactly. No one can. As far as any of these heavens. The 12 tribe relate to the 144,000 to go to heaven. That's a thought, Brian, but be literal in the time frame of who he talking to. I'm giving y'all all the hints now. Who is he talking to? "12 thrones, 12 houses, 12 disciples, 12 tribes, all allegories of 12 zodiacs." Come away from the zodiacs, Boondocks. Come away from the zodiac. All right, let's walk through it. Who is Jesus talking to right now? In this part, 28. Who is the them? We're gonna do this together. He's not talking to us today. He was speaking to his apostles, his disciples. Exactly. He's talking to the apostles, talking to the disciples. Who are the 12 disciples that are going to be sitting on these 12 thrones? Yes, then in those times, who are these 12 disciples he's talking to? So Brian W is leading the pack on this one so far. Who is the 12 disciples? Who are they? Name them. Here, road dogs. Think about his 12 road dogs. All 12 of them. At this time frame, who are those 12 road dogs? Name them. Get into the names of them. Think about the names of these 12 road dogs. Don't try to overthink this. It's very simple. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Who are the 12 road dogs? And when you think about these 12, I want you to think about Peter, Mark, Luke, John, Judas. These 12 road dogs are going to be sitting on 12 thrones. Who was the last road dog that Brian said before he said Aaron? Look at what Brian wrote on the first one. Peter, Mark, Matt, Luke, John, Judas. Judas, think about Judas. He's telling them right then and there that you 12 it's Judas Iscariot, is Judas, but close enough. We ain't worried about that. Judas Iscariot is one of the 12 that he's talking to right now. And he's saying that y'all, this 12 will be sitting on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes. How much sense? There were 2 Judases, yes. And I like this on my pearls. Judas Iscariot, the Scorpio, and I understand Judas represents the Scorpio, the backbiter, kiss of death. I got you, Boondocks. Boondocks be loving the astrological aspects of it. Boondocks, I need to have you on a live with me where we talk about the Bible and its zodiacal references. I think that'll be a good one because I know you love that subject matter, that aspect of it. Right, Julius Didymus Thomas that's Thomas. Yeah, Boondock, we're gonna schedule that. I put my email in the send me your email. You can do it through back channels, but I put my email in on here already. Send me your email, Boondocks, if you're interested in doing that. But come on, think about that now. Judas, the one who sold him out for some silver. The one who gave him the kiss of death. The one who betrayed him. The one who then gave back the silver, according to the story. And then, according to one story, he gave back the silver, and then the Sanhedrin purchased the land that he killed himself on. Or in the other version, Judas purchased the land, Potter's Field, and then hung himself. But in one version, he hung himself. In another version, he fell and busted his head and guts wide open. So, oh, yeah, we good with the naming now, Brian. You got the one. We was talking about Judas. I was getting to Judas. That's the guy. So Judas, the one who they had to replace. And who did they replace him with? Stephen, I believe. But he said, he's talking to them right then. I don't think it was Judas personally. Judas that did what? Because in this 12 right now, Judas is one of them 12. And Jesus is saying that those 12 will sit on 12 thrones and judge the 12 tribes of Israel. And Judas Iscariot was one of those 12. So he's saying, and this bothered me when I was during my senior year of high school. This is the one that I would, who was the pastor at that time that I talked to the most? It was, oh shit, I can't think of his name. No, Mary wasn't included. Mary Magdalene was not considered to be one of the apostles, one of the 12 apostles. Even in the Gospel of Thomas, she's not considered to be one of the 12 apostles. She's just one of the women that was around all the time. I personally think that if this story is to be believed, that Mary Magdalene was Jesus' wife. Now, I don't get down with the whole Merovingian story of her going to France and creating the Merovingian bloodline. No, that's made up medieval bullshit. Right, the coming of the kingdom was meant for them at that time during those days. They thought it was going to happen then. This is why Paul said he was trying to convince people not to get married at all, but to just focus on, your salvation. But if you can't abstain from sexual lust, then go ahead and get married. He was actually talking about it's better to marry than to burn from lust, not burn in hell. Even though that's what they used to teach, that you will burn in hell. But he was actually saying burning with the lust of sex. So it's better to get married and then have sex within the marriage in that way, and only have enough sex that it will satiate your desire for it. But they thought the kingdom was coming then, within 40 years of his death, of his so-called death. But it bothered the hell out of me during my senior year in high school that this guy, Judas, would be sitting on one of the 12 thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And there is no mentioning of, so who the hell is judging everybody else? Hell is a sexual organism. I don't know. I can't agree with you on that one. Sexual organs is heaven. There's no way I'm gonna say the sexual organs is hell. That's heaven. If we were designed by a God, then that was one of the things that he or she got right. But this is where I would agree with those who say that God is a woman, because I'll be damned. A woman have more nerve endings in her pum pum. She got way more, like 4 or 5 times more sexual nerve endings in her pum pum than a man has in his ping ping. Women are built for sex, for the pleasure of sex, and that shit is unfair, right? Unfair as hell. It is. That is unfair. God dang it. So a woman is built for sex. A woman's chest has way more nerve endings. Now, if you're looking at it from like more of a chakra standpoint, then yeah, it's the lower represents the lower chakras, which includes the genitalia area is the matter plane of existence. The spiritual plane turns when you go past the heart, but that's a different concept. The lower plane is still not hell. It's just to be managed in the same way that the rest of it, because without opening those lower chakras and being able to utilize them in how they should function on the matter, on this gross matter plane of existence, because there's matter on all planes of existence, then when it's done correctly, managed correctly, then all of them are needed in order for you to open your crown chakra. You don't shut down your sexual. You know, a lot of ancient teachings are that and modern, you shut down your sex in order for you to reach higher conscious planes. No. You don't shut those down. You use them for what their purpose is. Your sexual energies are some of the strongest energies you can possibly utilize in manifesting things. If you've ever seen any of my videos about sex magic, is what the common term is. But I'd rather use the term sexual alchemy, which is what Tantra is about. Is really about sexual alchemy, utilizing that sex energy to increase your energy manifestations, your mentalism, your physical energy, your thought energy, into manifesting whatever it is you are looking to manifest. Plus, also that sexual energy is one of the ways you create some of your deepest connections with your romantic partner, if you understand how to use it tantrically. So sex, it ain't hell. What was the old song say? I saw heaven when I made love to you. I saw heaven when I made sweet love to you. Or something like that. I can't sing, just to let y'all know. I can't, but I don't care. And the other song, Heaven Was Between Your Legs or something. What was that, 112? Had a song that said something about heaven in between your legs. That heaven, man. Heaven. So that's very noble. No, we have cultures misuse sexuality. Yes, tremendously. But when it's used correctly, sexual energy is one of the most beautiful, powerful things. Mm-hmm. Oh, As Yet, last night. Yeah. Hey, last night when I made love to you, last night. I saw him. Uh-huh. Thank you. Yep. Beautiful song. Way to go, Brian Wilson. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Because I personally am a very sexual person. So, and there was a time when there was a time that I abused sex. It was interesting. I know this sounds like an excuse, but it really was job related that I abused sex. When I was an investigator, an urban infiltrator. In order to infiltrate certain organizations, sex was something that you use. But in my life, my real life, no, actually, one of the problems that I used to have is that if I had sex with a woman, we was in a relationship. That was it. If I met you, we went on a couple of dates, and then we got intimate, you my girlfriend now. You my lady. Even though I can know that I don't like you, there are certain aspects of you that I know is not going to work with us. Oh, we had sex, you my lady. We finna make this work. We finna make this work. But there are those who abuse. In most cases, people are abusing their sexual energies like a champ. Job related, you want to check you out? Nah. Like, I give you one instance. I was investigating, trying to figure out. Well, can I say that? Okay, so I was investigating where these military people were selling arms. There's some military guys who were selling arms to another person, and that person was selling them to another person, and that person sold them to what was going on in Rwanda at the time in 94, 95. So in my investigation, I didn't know the military people, but I figured out the first contact, who the first contact was. And the way that I got connected to that first contact was by going through his daughter. So I romanticized the daughter to get to the father. And then from the father, I figured out who he was selling them to and how they were getting them down in Rwanda. All of this is declassified now, so it's fine. But I didn't know who the military people they was getting them from, though. So through the daughter, and of course you got to have sex with the girl to make her fall in love with you and all to get her all emotionally tied to you, so that I can meet the father. And then once all the information is found out, then it's like, okay, to my superiors, here's the information, and y'all go do y'all thing. So that's when I say job related. It wasn't gigolo. You were a honey trap. Yeah, I used to tell those outrageous lies to my wife also. Wow. No, that was my job, and it wasn't a job that I signed up for in the military. It was one that I developed in the military. That kind of stuff each had to show for a bit, and you honestly believe in a moral consciousness. Yeah, it did. I would say that is part of the biggest PTSD issue that I have today for doing that job. Doing that job is, about 50% of my PTSD is from doing that job. Definitely. No, I wasn't a player, man. I wasn't a player. I had player abilities, but I've always thought that who you have sex with is who you are to be with. So like after I got out of the military, and then, it took me a while to get that stuff out of my system. So I wasn't good. That's why I've told you guys before, if you've been on some of my older podcasts, in my first marriage, I wasn't perfect. I couldn't get that shit out of my system for a while. The lifestyle of it, says Coach 007. I did get to experience some low level as 007 type stuff, but it was very, very low level, very, very low level. Ethan Hunt kind of stuff, very incredibly low level. There are levels of that so far above me that I couldn't even conceive it. But it took a while to get that out of my system. It took a minute to get that mentality and that lifestyle out of my system after I stopped doing that job. And that's why I always say that I take full responsibility for the turmoil of my first marriage and E6. So, and I did get a temporary field promotion though. But that now after that, my morality was, if we have sex, you my lady. Plain and simple. There ain't no way around it. You my girlfriend. And we look and see if we gonna make this thing last forever. Even though they would have issues about them that I know is not gonna work. So I would try to fix them. I gotta fix this issue. I can fix it. I can fix it. Ultimately, you wind up realizing you can't fix it. That person can only fix whatever they desire to fix, or they can only change whatever they desire to change. And if they do try to change it for you, then it's not a real change. So I had to learn that if a person wanted to make a change in their life, okay, well, the first thing I have to learn is that if I'm with someone is the things that I don't like about them. If they have any of my deal breakers, then just don't be with them at all. You know what, Trauma, you make me sick, because some of my female friends, they used to call me that all the time. They was like, you got to stop being Captain Save 'em Ho. You can't save them. Stop being Captain Save 'em Ho. That's your problem. So yeah, but I had to learn that whatever her issues that about her that I didn't like, if they weren't deal breakers, then I just make the decision. I'm just gonna, this is something I can deal with. But if it was a deal breaker type situation, get away from them, like end this thing. And sometimes you don't find out those deal breakers until like 3, 4, 5, 6 months into the relationship. Then it's like, I can't deal with this. But before that, I was like, I'm gonna try to fix it. If I walked in and her house had a bunch of clutter and unruly ass children, and I'm gonna fix these kids. I'm gonna fix this clutter. I'm gonna buy some shelving. I'm gonna buy some storage units, some storage space that we can put it in the house. You know, little shelving things. I'm gonna fix it. We're gonna get some a chart for people to do their chores so we can keep this house clean and organized. And we're gonna throw away a bunch of stuff that if you haven't used it in 6 months, we're gonna throw it away. I'm in there trying to fix their life according to what I deem is right. If their life is junky and that's right for them, fine. Right. But but shit, I was trying, and I had to realize that that's not that you can't do that. You have to accept the person for where they are, and then decide whether or not you can be with that person. And I had to realize I can't. I had to stop doing that. So I wasn't out here trying to be. So I was Captain Save 'em Ho, but I wasn't out here hoeing. That part wasn't happening. So now it's just like you either accept it or not. Like when I met Angelina, if I'd have walked in her house that first time and I saw that it was all unkept, I'd be like, you know what? Good to meet you. Can't do this. Gotta go. There have been times where I went on one date with somebody. We ain't got past the hors d'oeuvres. I need to check. Can I get check? Oh, wow. Yeah, this ain't gonna work. This is not gonna work. So I'm gonna go ahead and take you home because this not gonna work. We gotta break this off. But yeah, I was. Oh, your wife's name is Angelina? Cool. Now hers is that I is an E in her name. Oh, you were so bad you would help her clean up? Yeah. I used to do that. Try to help them clean up, get everything. All right. Field day, military style field day. We're gonna clean this joint, and then we're gonna keep it this way. So, oh, I don't blame you. A bad date doesn't make sense, dude. It was this one girl, and here's the funny part about it. For those of you who know Kevin, right? So I was doing a live with Kevin, and I was supposed to go on a date with this girl, and me and Kevin then was doing the live. She showed up at my job at the popcorn shop, and how did it go? Oh, we were still going, so she sat in the background waiting for me to finish. So when it was over, I told Kevin I gotta go. I'm going on a date, and I showed Kevin the girl, and they was like, they was like, okay. So we go on this date, and there's a reason why I'm telling you I showed Kevin them. We go on this date, and man, I'm telling you, me and this girl had talked a bunch of times, and when she speaks, she just normally speaks. But for some reason, we go on this date, and when she's eating, every time she talks, so I only and then when she chews, I hate mouth noises. Oh, that shit drives me insane. Oh, check. So the next day, Kevin and them was like, we're doing a live again. And before we do the live, Kevin and Josh was like, man, how was the date, man? Because that girl, bad. That girl, whew. I said, man, I ended the date early. I couldn't do it. I had to take her at home. I ain't never going out with her again. And they was like, dude, because she smacked. They was like, you crazy. They was like, come on, man. She smacked. You can get her not to smack. I'm like, no. I'm not trying to change anybody. I'm not trying to change anybody. They were like, well, bruh, you see what she looked like? It don't matter what she looked like. The smacking ain't working. I can't do it. I probably talked to Kevin today. I'm gonna remind him of that one. Because that joker, he rolled me on that one for about a good month. Like in our pre or post show, he would bring that shit up. But yep. I got that. I got better, but there are certain things you can't do it. Will she look like that in the morning? Yeah. Because she didn't wear makeup. No makeup, nothing. But it didn't matter. I don't give a damn how good the person looked. If you smacking, I like to eat. If I can't eat with you, and I'm from Atlanta, any of y'all moved to Atlanta, you gaining 25 pounds within the first year you moved to Atlanta. Everything in Atlanta is centered around food. Everything we do in Atlanta is centered around food. I'm sure some of you guys in the city are that way as well. But everything in Atlanta is centered around food. So you can't go to hardly any event without there being food. If I can't eat around you and talk to you, it's not gonna work. You about to get on my nerves. You know how couples have 2 bedrooms? They have 2 dinner tables, 2 dining rooms. You go eat now. You eat in the kitchen. I'm gonna eat in the dining room. We're not eating together. Could you imagine if we went to the movies and she was eating popcorn? Oh my God. Oh. Eating popcorn and it's already gonna be crunching all loud and then get oh, smacking and slurping. Look, this is how bad I am. I know we way off subject, but this is how bad I am about that. I was in 6th grade, and for some reason, my brother, that during that summer of me going to 6th grade, going between 6th and 7th grade, my brother would eat cereal and his cereal. And once he realized it irritated me, this is why I always tell my brother, you were horrible as a brother when we was kids. We cool as hell now, but horrible. But he would slurp his cereal. And we ate cereal all the damn time. Like that was one of the things my mother could buy, cereal. And he would slurp the shit out of his cereal. I moved out of my mother's house and went and lived with my grandmother because I couldn't stand eating breakfast around my brother. And we ate cereal. I say breakfast, but we ate cereal like all day. And I moved out of my mother's house just to be away from my brother and his slurping. That's how bad it bothered me. My family cursed me out because my Aunt May, when she was pregnant with Marika, she couldn't swallow her own spit. So she had a spit cup and she kept spitting it. And we was eating Sunday dinner and I was sitting next to her and I was grossed out and I was like, I can't do this. And I got mad and I said, I can't eat next to her. And it was like, no, you sit there and you eat your food now because we was all the family together. And everybody got mad at me because I couldn't stand what she was doing. Couldn't do it. Somebody said, Brian said, I can't be with a girl with ugly toes. See, we got our things. I'm not the only one that got these issues. But yeah. Can't do it. Can't. You gotta, what my man said, you gotta know when to hold them and know when to fold them. Gotta know when to walk away, gotta know when to run. Because that stuff can't do it. Way off subject. Can't do it. Cannot. uh, uh. Folks that chew tobacco around me, I remove myself. I understand. Yeah. I'm glad. Look, I got ugly toes, especially this one, my big toe. So I'm glad that that's not a problem for Angelina because she'd be like, Eddie Murphy, Marcus and Boomerang. Yep. I'm no, I'm not as picky as Eddie Murphy was in that movie Boomerang. Um, I have a very like when it comes to a woman's body, I have a wide range. You know, uh, symmetry. I gotta have symmetry. You can't have like big old breasts and little bitty ass or little bitty ass and or big old ass and no breasts. If you got big breasts, you need to have a big old butt. If you got small breasts, you need to have a small butt. If you got medium breasts, you need to have a medium butt. That's all you need to match. Symmetry. But that can range from like a size, I'm gonna say like a size 4. Because once you go below 4, you kind of starting getting a little too small. And I feel like you're a little kid. But like 4 to about a 14 gonna be pushing it. 14 is about the max. Uh, Now that's just my preference. And some of my rationales for that is not just physical. It's not just a physical thing. It's also a um, what is it called? It's a utility thing as well, right? If I can't pick you up mentally, I have this in my mind. I like walking through the woods, right? So let's say you a size 22, right? Let's say she's a 22, 26. She'll big girl. If she get hurt in the woods, I can't drag her. I can't carry her. If we're in a car accident and the car rolls over, and this is something that I've said, and I've said this to women, like we're in a car. All right. Yeah. 14 is at the edge. I can get down with a 14. Depends on how it's shaped. If it's sloppy, I can't do it. If it's sloppy on any side, I ain't dealing with it. But 16, you're starting to be too big because now you're going to be at a weight level that is too big for me to pick up, too big for me to carry. But let's say and you're a size 26, 28, whatever, and we're in a car and the car rolls over and the car's on fire. If you can't fit through the window, I don't want to ever have the experience of saying, all right, baby, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to die in this car. I'm going to go stand over here because I can't pull you out the car. I can't pull you out the car. I literally think about stuff like that. Like if we're in a dangerous situation, how can I can't save you. You know what I'm saying? That actually is a thought that I have, and that's one of the reasons why I have my size preferences. Yeah, she can be a and I've dealt with that when so I got married to the girl I dated mostly through high school, and we got married at 19. We stayed married for 17 years. So I'm in my 30s, my mid 30s, when I first become single and I'm dating as an adult. Of course, I started dating initially, especially in Atlanta. You have the what is it called? Pick of the litter. Uh, Dimes coming my way. But oh man, they personality. Ooh, whew, whew. So personality comes first. The personality has to come first, right? Uh, then their level of intelligence comes second. Then we get into the look. And the one time I did date somebody outside my weight class, it was not good. Then the personality wound up not being good. A whole bunch of shit just weren't good. But all that stuff, I'm 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 not as picky as Marcus, like with the toes, and she can be wonderful and in every aspect, but them toes, no, not toes. I'm not looking for perfect. I've never looked for perfection because I don't believe in perfection, and I'm not perfect myself, and by no I am not perfect at all, especially right now. Especially right now, I'm not perfect. But if she can't get picked, if she can't get picked up or fit through the window, chances are she's unhealthy and obese. Yeah, most likely. Now you can now as a personal trainer, when I was a personal trainer, you can be small and be unhealthy too. But definitely, if you are that big, your heart is working too hard to move the blood through your system. You're at risk of a bunch of different diseases, more so than a smaller person. Yeah, and exactly, she can have 6 toes. I wouldn't care. 6 toes wouldn't bother. Hell, one of the sweetest persons, nicest persons I ever dated, she had cerebral palsy, and it just like affected her left leg and her left leg and left arm. I think, yeah, left leg and left arm. So she walked with a little hitch in the giddy up, and so she couldn't do a bunch. But I treated her like she was like ain't nothing wrong with her. One time we was walking across the street and she was moving too slow. I was like, girl, you better hurry up, get your ass across the street. Damn car don't care. So I don't have problems with things like that. It's like smacking and being dirty. I remember I went on a date with this girl, and first time meeting her, we had met online, and then we met at this restaurant. Then when I walked her to her car, oh my God, her car was nasty as hell. I never called her back. No. Yeah, you got to be able to lift the woman that you. I don't know how to breathe. That's interesting. Well, that's actually not uncommon. See, certain things that a person like Debbie said, I don't know how. Let's say Debbie wants to learn how to breathe. If she wants to learn how to breathe because of her own health and her own self, that's one thing. I don't mind. We can change that. But it's that thing that I'm trying to change a person. That's what I want to do. But you should be able to. I'm think that every man should be able to lift this woman. Um, Forgive me, ladies, if I'm wrong. 20s equals she is what she wants. 30s, she don't get what she wants. 40s, she regrets what she got. 50, she stays. she's I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. And I got behind on y'all comments. Whether it's a skit or not, it is a real thing that happens. That you have people with that mentality. Put what's left of my foot in your. Oh, I don't know how overweight girls breathe. That I can't be around anybody. Now, when you're asleep, I don't really count sleep. People snore and all that stuff. It's just sometimes if you snore too much, I'm gonna roll over. All right, I can't go to sleep. Roll over. Snore too damn loud. I can't sleep. But it's one of those people who, when they're just, you ever been around those people, you hear them breathe all the time? That is an irritating thing. But yeah, when you are over, if you get too overweight, your body is putting too much pressure on your organs, and it can be hard for you to breathe. She turned her head to the right and tilted back without putting something. I don't know what you mean by that one. Y'all go in and stand up. Like, Ron, Grand Rising. Ron, you missed all the biblical stuff. We also somehow we not got into people and their health and weight and dating and all that stuff. It's probably my fault on this one. I'm pretty sure that I started this one. Oh yeah, I know how that started. Now I remember how it started. But yeah, I'm not. Mm-mm. Everybody has their range, and no one should be shamed for what they like. If you're really picky, then you're really picky. If you're not, you're not. But it is you like what you like. The hardest part is, I think, for most people, is just being honest about what they like. You know, if there's something you don't be so desperate to accept things that you don't like. You know, as deal breakers, and you try to change it in that person. You like what you like. Wait for or go find what you like. Hey, do you think we should consume meat? Unless you have a medical reason, I really don't think you should consume meat at all. Meat, for the majority of people, is not beneficial. Now, some people, medically, biologically, they need certain aspects of meat that you can't get from um, vegetables and fruits and plants. But the healthiest any person, if you want to be the healthiest you can possibly be, for the most part, is going to be at minimum the vegetarian lifestyle, and stay away from a lot of the processed stuff. Like, I can tell you, and yes, this is an indictment on my relationship with Angelina. Prior to being with her, because she cooked so damn good that I just gave in. I gave in. Y'all, I ain't even gonna lie, I just gave in. I was like 95% vegetarian and healthier, one of the healthiest states my body has ever been in, uh, barring the damage from the military and all that stuff, but just healthy. Uh, Breathing right, ping acting right. That's for my fellas. But everything was good. I was moving better, everything. I could work when I worked out, it wouldn't hurt I can go heavier without damaging my back. Now, if I went and tried to work out now, it has to be light, because um, eating the meat that I've been eating over the last year and some change, now my back about to go out. Now, when I was vegan and my roommate was a herbalist, oh shit, you couldn't tell my body nothing, boy. This thing was good to go. So yeah, I would say we really shouldn't be eating meat. Some say eating meat raw is better than cooked. I mean, whatever nutrients is in it, you cook it away. The more heat that's applied to it, the same way with vegetables. The more eating it raw vegetarian, raw vegan is better. So raw is generally better, but of course with meat, you could put yourself in a position to get all kind of other, like, worms and other bacteria and stuff. So if you don't know where that meat's coming from, I'm a small guy. I've been with tall women, big women, and women in between. I married a small woman. It's definitely my preference. I wouldn't know that I had married the first one there. No, you wouldn't. You gotta get around, figure out what's your preference. Yeah. But I I literally have been on some dates with some women that were more bougie than me, and that got on my nerves. I'm like, I just met you. You have not earned to go to this place. You have not earned you haven't earned me spending that much money on you. I remember I was dating this girl. We had just started dating for like a week, and I was getting ready to go out of town with my brother and my sister and all that. We was going down to Biloxi, and she was like, "You taking me to Biloxi?" I was like, "No." I'm like, why would I take you to Biloxi? Well, we dating. I would figure that you would be taking me to Biloxi. And I told her, you haven't earned trips yet. She was not happy about that. I told her, you haven't earned a trip. What makes you think I should pay for it? Because when we was going to Biloxi this time, I was sharing a room. So I was like, well, you haven't earned me to go get a whole nother room, feed you, entertain you. You ain't earned that. You ain't earned Biloxi. We just got past Starbucks. All right. That's what I told her. We just got past Starbucks. So you ain't earned a trip. She got mad. I ain't hear from her no more. But it was all right. I was fine. Yeah, you consume no dairy, no meat. You feel amazing. You should. You should. There's no way I could eat raw meat. First date would be something like Olive Garden or Red Lobster. That's old school, dude. I was so stupid when in my early mid-30s when I was first time dating as an adult. Oh, your first date with me? Oh, unless you were in Atlanta, you may not know some of these places. But we was going to Atlantic Seafood, Roof. Well, I never went to Roof Chris, but we was going to legal seafood. This is legal seafood. You can easily drop 2 bills, and that was first date. And then about a month later, I looked at my damn budget and I was like, oh, hell no. We ain't doing this. And I'm thinking like, oh, wait a minute. I took that woman and we went to legal seafood. And then we might have went to see some live music at this spot. And then we capped the night off by going to Cafe Intermezzo's for some dessert and coffee. Oh, hell no. I done spent like $300, $400, and I just met this mom. I was like, oh, hell no. How you doing? We're going to meet for the first time. There's a Starbucks over by Perimeter. I will meet you there. I'm not even coming to pick you up. You ain't worth my gas yet. I will meet you at Starbucks. And you got to earn your way to all of that. And see, the problem was I was making too much money at that time frame. And I'm not saying I'm trying to sound boastful or nothing like that, but I was earning too much money that spending $400 on a first date or any date wasn't as impactful on my budget. So, but then I'm glad I switched to like the Starbucks because about a year later, that shit would have been very impactful on my budget because that's when like the recession in 2010 started kicking my ass. What do you think more important for humans to eat in terms of nutrient, fruits or vegetables? Vegetables, especially your green vegetables. Even though your dark fruits are good because they have a lot of antioxidants, but vegetables, because vegetables is also where you can get your proteins that you need. Yeah, I ate MREs. I used to keep MREs for if I have in my bug out kit. I used to always keep MREs for the bug out. Yep, we got our courtship all wrong. I have fasted, but I don't fast no more. If I do fast, it might be like, okay, I'm not gonna eat until like 8 o'clock at night. But I don't fast unless I'm trying to like unless I'm gonna do a whole big meditation thing. But for health reasons, I don't to fast for health. Although we should really only be eating like 1 or 2 meals a day. But one. Don't be making them eyes, Angie. That was my old life when I was stupid. Yeah, look at a gorilla. Even though gorillas will eat meat every now and then, but for the most part, like 99% of their diet is greens. Y'all know I done got myself in trouble, right? Y'all know I have. Because when Angelina gets home, she's gonna be like, "Oh, so you was taking people out on $400 dates." And then you know what I'm gonna say to her? You know what I'm gonna say to her? The first time we went and really hung out is we took a trip to Baton Rouge for a motorcycle roundup. And then she's gonna say, "But you took me because we were just really good friends, and you said you just want to take somebody you can have fun with." That is true, but still, the point is, the first trip we went to Baton Rouge, first time we weren't even dating yet. So gonna have this conversation when she come home. So I gotta think of some more shit before she get here. I eat one meal a day. Oh, I could do that. Yep, I'm in trouble. It's all right. She gonna have something to say. It's okay though. I got this. I got this. I got this. I got this. Cause I'm gonna come up with some other shit. You know. Plus, I already got it. I already got it. Because I have to remind her that at that time frame, that's when my friend um, who had pancreatic cancer was staying with me, and I spent like $96,000 to get her for her home hospice care. Nope, I spent all that, and then after spending that, and I was broke as shit for a while. So I got my out. My out is already there. That's my out. No, I got it. I'll tell you, I explained it away. I eat with the sun as it aids in food digestion at 12 when it's in the most when it's most high. Man, that's some conditioning that I'll have to go through because I stay up late. I like staying up late. It's hard for me to go to sleep early, and you be sitting there at 10, 11 o'clock at night. And if you only ate, if I ate at noon and it's 10, 11 o'clock at night, man, my stomach gonna be like, I ain't gonna be able to sleep. I think intermittent fasting is good for your digestive system. I've been doing it for the last couple of years. It's been really helpful. I usually only have like 1 to 2 meals a day. Intermittent fasting is, I have heard that, and I've seen good studies on that has shown that that is a good thing. Coming from, so when I was as a personal trainer, and then I used to do amateur bodybuilding, I would probably lean into the 4 or 5 small vegetarian meals a day if I were to really, if I were to say, okay, Angelina, cook for yourself all the good meats, but don't make enough for me. Just, I can't do it. I would eat like 4 or 5 small vegetarian meals a day, but they would be real small, like real small. And my digestive system was great. When your digestive system doesn't have all that meat in it or any other toxins or all that dairy and things of that nature, then your immune system can then go and fight off all the other bullshit that you got going on in your body so that you can actually be in a more healthier state. But that's what I would do, especially if you're living in, if your lifestyle is very active, then you need fuel. You need fuel for your body, right? So, like, let's say today, if I was living the life that I truly wanted to live right now, we would do these lives. I would literally start on time at 10 o'clock. I would start at 10 o'clock. We would finish 10, 11, 12, finish around 1. I would then go play golf every day. Almost every day, I'll go play golf. Okay, let me backtrack a little bit. Yeah, I'll go play golf. Then I come home, and then I'd work out after playing golf. Well, I would rest first because golf can actually be exhausting because you're out in the sun. Then I would rest and then work out around 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. Yeah, that'd be my day. So it'd be at that level of activity. Nah, I'm gonna be snacking all day. I've done a couple years of 1 meal a day, like 15, but I've had to stop because my body changed. All right, and that's the other aspect of it. I'm older now. When I was an amateur bodybuilder, oh, it was totally different. Oh, I had to consume large meals, at least 3 large meals a day, plus snacks in between, because I would ride my bike 11 miles to work, then get to work and lift weights, then work, and then lunchtime comes. We would go play like 5 full court games of basketball or racquetball, and then I get off and then I get off work and usually ride my bike about 4 miles over to this other base and played in some intramural sport, whether it was flag football or baseball or softball or rugby. What else did I play? Basketball. And then sometimes I might work out after that. And if we didn't have an intramural sport, I would work out again after that. So I was burning so many calories I had to eat. I had an 8-pack back then, though. Yeah. Yeah. The amount of activity is going to increase how much you need to eat. But now that I'm older, I'm not living that lifestyle. I ain't doing all that activity. I just need to work out. I need to work out, and I need to play golf. Yeah, I need to play golf. Yep. Angie, you laugh, but that would be a perfect lifestyle. Of course, you wouldn't have to be. You can't be working at a job in order for that lifestyle to work, because you can't be. We wouldn't have no time together. Because I love beef going up to Africa. It's magic. Try it in raw. Oh, you got an 8-pack Boondocks? Nope. I got a baby keg right now. There's a baby keg going on. Gotta get rid of the baby keg. About to leave Memphis, headed back to North Carolina, down 40, and I'm definitely having my dinner at Buc-ee's. God dang right. I could be eating pure vegetarian, but if I'm on the road and I pass the Buc-ee's, I'm about to stop, get me that brisket with some old snap pickles, them chips, them kettle chips that they make, and some of the drink, and that's done. I'm good. I am a fan of Buc-ee's. But yeah, I do need to. Matter of fact, I might go up to the store today and get me and do a 7-day detox. Get me some 7-day detox pills, flush out my stomach and intestine system, and that means if I'm gonna do that, I haven't done that in a while. I missed last quarter, but this has been riveting. But I am going to have to get off here because I do have a few things that I need to do. I don't know if you guys saw the 9 videos I shot yesterday, but go and watch the 9 videos I shot yesterday, especially on YouTube, on Facebook. Go and share those videos. Share them with everybody. Share them. This has been an interesting conversation. I would implore you to, I know we went way off the subject of Matthew 19, which is what we do every video. Wow. So if somebody joined us after we finished that, trust me, the title of this video is in the first hour and a half. It's in the first hour and a half. But I got some things I need to do. So y'all have a wonderful day, as Debbie just said to me to have a wonderful day, and everyone to have a wonderful day. Well, she just said everybody have a wonderful day. Thought she was being special. thought it just would be what it would do for everybody. But Matthew 19 is it gives you a lot to question. You know, rich man through the eye of a needle. How is Judas going to be one of the 12 sitting on a throne judging the tribe of Israel? You know, there's some things in that one that just not clicking. You need to keep all the commandments, you know, in order to have this eternal life according to this deity. There's some good stuff. So if you didn't get a chance to see all that part, go back and review, go back and watch it. But y'all have a great day. Thank you, Teresa. Have a very positive and creative day. Yes. Yeah, and yes, Boondocks. Y'all hit that like button and share the videos, and I greatly appreciate it. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Hey, Taquan, how you doing? How is it not clicking? You got to go and watch the first parts of this video because it don't make sense. And it's grossly mistaught because people didn't understand the teaching based on the culture of that day. So y'all go back and watch that. Oh, I'm gonna get some eternal life. It just ain't gonna be on this planet or this plane of existence. It'll be a continuous journey. So y'all have a great one. Remember always to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. And I'll see y'all tomorrow.